Willow, and the unthinkable possibility of framing Nina. Let us start with Willow. Because we have to. Because what is being suggested about where her scheming may be heading is so audacious and so dark that it demands to be talked about directly and honestly, because the audience deserves to understand exactly what kind of person General Hospital is asking them to watch right now. Nina has been Willow's most loyal defender this summer. That is not an exaggeration. It is barely even a description. It is more like an understatement of something that goes well beyond what most people would do for another person under any circumstances. Nina has kept secrets that could send her to prison. She has been complicit in covering up crimes she did not commit. She pushed a man into a lake because her instinct to protect Willow in that panicked moment overrode every other consideration. She has put her relationship with Brennan, her professional reputation, her freedom, and her own moral center at risk, all in service of protecting a daughter who came into her life under complicated circumstances and who Nina has chosen, again and again, to love without condition. And now there is a possibility forming in Willow's mind that could be the single most monstrous act in a summer already full of them. Nina's fingerprints are on those syringes. The ones that were used to inject Drew with the paralytic medication that kept him locked in his own body for months. Nina was the one who administered those injections at various points. She was careful. She disposed of the syringes properly. Used the sharps containers the way you are supposed to, but careful does not mean fingerprint-free. It means the fingerprints went into a disposal system rather than being found in plain sight. If those syringes were ever recovered and tested, Nina's fingerprints would be on them. That is a physical, forensic fact that exists in the world regardless of what anyone wants. Willow knows this. And Willow, who has been making the calculation of how to achieve sole custody of Wiley and Amelia at any cost, who has already shot her husband twice and paralyzed him and tried to flee the country with false identities and pressured a law enforcement commissioner with political threats. Willow is now looking at a landscape where the most effective way to eliminate all obstacles might be to redirect the investigation toward the person whose fingerprints are already on the evidence. The pills are the current flashpoint. The promo footage showing Nina and Michael simultaneously demanding "What did you do?" aimed at Willow on one side and Jacinda on the other, has a specific implication when you add Willow's history to it. If Willow frames Nina for supplying the pills, for being the one who introduced drugging into this situation, she accomplishes something devastating in multiple directions at once. She deflects from her own actions. She creates legal jeopardy for the one person who has done the most to protect her. She removes Nina from the playing field as an ally who knows too much and replaces her with Nina as a defendant who has everything to lose. That is the coldest possible version of this character. The one that has no bottom to it. The one that would sacrifice the mother who loves her without reservation because it is tactically convenient. Now, Willow framing Nina for the pills and Willow eventually pointing investigators toward Nina's fingerprints on the syringes are two separate escalations. The first is already being suggested by the weekly promo footage. The second is the logical extension of the first in a world where Willow has decided that Nina is more useful to her as a scapegoat than as a protector. And the jump between those two escalations, for a woman who shot her husband twice in the back, is not as large as we might hope. Nina herself cannot see this coming. That is the cruelest part. She has been so completely devoted to Willow's protection that the idea of Willow turning that same protective loyalty into a target has probably never occurred to her. You do not generally develop defense strategies against the people you are sacrificing yourself to protect. Brennan knows enough to potentially see it coming. But Brennan's days are numbered in ways he may not fully understand yet. Drew knows things that could blow everything open. But Drew has his own reasons to stay quiet for now. And Willow, operating with the particular clarity of someone who has already decided that winning is the only thing that matters, may move faster than anyone around her can respond to. If this is where the storyline goes, and the pieces are all aligning to suggest it might, then the fall is going to feature not just the consequences of what Willow has done to Drew, but the consequences of what she does to the person who loved her most unconditionally. And that second betrayal is going to be the one that defines Willow's legacy on this show for a very long time. Jocelyn's father drops a bombshell, and nothing is what it was. Now let us talk about Jocelyn, because the news that arrived for her at the end of a recent episode is the kind of thing that reshuffles a character's entire story arc and forces a fundamental reconsideration of what the next chapter looks like. Jocelyn's father decided to sail around the world. Not a short trip, a real, extended, leave civilization behind for a while kind of departure. The kind of thing that happens when someone has the resources and the inclination and perhaps the specific need to be away from everything that has defined their recent life for long enough to remember who they are outside of it. That is fine. People get to make those choices. What is not fine, or at least what is not convenient for Jocelyn, is what came attached to that choice. Because her father did not simply leave. He appointed Jocelyn as the acting CEO of a company worth multiple billions of dollars. Without asking her first, Jocelyn, to her credit, reacted with the honest clarity of someone who has a pretty good understanding of who she is and what she is suited for at this particular moment in her life. She told the person delivering this news exactly what was true. She is a WSB agent. She operates in the world of classified missions and covert operations and the specific kind of danger that keeps you alert in a way that running a multinational corporation simply cannot replicate. She is not CEO material, at least not right now, at least not in any version of her life that she has been building toward this summer. But here is the thing about enormous, unexpected responsibilities that land in your lap whether you asked for them or not. They do not go away just because you did not want them. The company exists. The appointment exists. The legal reality of what her father has done exists. And Jocelyn is now going to have to figure out what to do with something that is simultaneously a gift and an enormous complication. Telling Carly is the first step. And this conversation is going to be one that carries a lot of layers, because Carly's relationship to both Jocelyn's father and to questions of corporate power and family legacy is not simple. The question of whether Carly already knew, whether this was somehow coordinated, whether there is a bigger plan underneath the apparently spontaneous departure of a man who has just handed his daughter a billion-dollar company, is one that Jocelyn is probably already wondering about, and that the conversation with Carly will either answer or deepen. If Carly knew and was part of this plan, it represents a specific kind of parental maneuvering, an attempt to give Jocelyn an off-ramp from the WSB. Something valuable and legitimate to step into that would make the decision to leave the organization feel like choosing something rather than losing something. People who are worried about Jocelyn's safety might construct exactly that kind of offer. And Carly has never been someone who lets worry stay passive when action is available. If Carly did not know, then this is two women being surprised simultaneously by a man who apparently makes very large decisions without extensive consultation, and the conversation between them is going to be full of the particular energy that comes when two strong-willed people are processing the same unexpected information at the same time. Either way, Jocelyn is now at a crossroads that is more concrete and more urgent than the vague professional crossroads she has been navigating since the immediate WSB mission concluded. This is not just a question of what she wants to do next. It is a question of what she does with a specific, real, existing responsibility that has already been officially assigned to her. The WSB life versus the corporate life. The danger and the mission and the specific kind of purpose that comes from operating in that world, versus the stability and the legitimacy and the entirely different kind of power that comes from running something enormous in the real world. Jocelyn is going to have to choose which version of herself she is investing in. And that choice is going to shape the next chapter of her story in ways that affect not just her, but every relationship and every storyline she is connected to, including whatever is developing with Hudson. Because a CEO Jocelyn and a WSB Jocelyn have very different relationships to a mysterious businessman with a hidden agenda who has walked into her orbit.